The following video is for entertainment purposes only. The scenarios presented within have been heavily edited and are neither complete nor meant to act as or in lieu of actual flight instruction. Consult a certified flight instructor for more information.
And 9 Delta Alpha is at Nolan.
9 Delta Alpha, runway 27, clear to land. The airport's 2 miles with light snow.
Okay, clear to land at 9 Delta Alpha.
So the question is, how do we get from here?
Now we're just looking for the runway.
I don't see anything yet.
Oh.
To here, safely and on time. Welcome to Life in the Fast Lane. I'm John Weisswasser, pilot and drummer for Eaglemania. Follow me as I explore the practical use of general aviation while I travel the country with the world's greatest tribute to the Eagles. This is Life in the Fast Lane. It's early March, and the purpose of this mission is to get myself to the Maryland State Theater in Hagerstown, Maryland in time for an early afternoon sound check with Eaglemania. For this, I'm going to fly from Caldwell, New Jersey to Hagerstown, Maryland to arrive and be behind the kit no later than 4:30 in the afternoon. Hagerstown's a well-serviced airport with multiple precision approaches, and my plan is to depart Caldwell at 1 in the afternoon for a 1 hour and 15-minute en route flight time to arrive at Hagerstown at 2:30 in the afternoon, which would be plenty of time for sound check. With me on board will be Ken Darcy, the guy in Eaglemania who cops all the Glenn Frey stuff. He's one of our lead vocalists and guitarists. Myself, plus full fuel, which is about 4 hours worth. Checking a quick weight and balance, you can see we're balanced and we're not overweight. So what is Eaglemania? Eaglemania, as we like to say, is the world's greatest tribute to the music of the Eagles. And while we play big theaters and outdoor events nowadays, it wasn't always that way. Like most bands, we started at the bottom, playing small clubs and bars. That was in 2013 when I joined as their drummer, and this is how I summed up what we were all about. It's a tribute band, so the goal here is not to take liberties with the music and try to express how we think it should sound, but to try to emulate the Eagles as much as possible. At first, most of our shows were relatively local, venues easily reached within an hour or two by car. But as our schedule went from 25 shows a year to our current roster of around 80 shows a year and growing, our geographic footprint grew as well. By 2016, we were spending a lot of time on the road. Drives to Pittsburgh and deep into New England weren't uncommon, and neither were the occasional flyout dates. Now, in 2019, Eaglemania plays all over the country. In the last 6 months alone, we have played everywhere from Tampa, Florida to Portland, Maine, and this summer, we will be in Portland, Oregon. For me, in part, this has meant a growing reliance on general aviation for the convenience and time savings. But unlike a family vacation or a $100 hamburger run, I have to be there on time for sound check, or at the very least by showtime. These guys have become my brothers. We are a tight-knit musical family, and each of us is as committed to playing a perfect show every night as one could possibly be. And through the use of an airplane, I have managed to find a good balance between Eaglemania and the other essential parts of my life, like family and work. Like most pilots, I start obsessing about the weather days in advance. I usually check MAVMOS graphics, Windy TV, and some of the other conventional outlets. Looking at the MAVMOS graphics 36 hours out, there's definitely going to be some ceiling and visibility issues in the Hagerstown region. Nothing preclusive, but absolutely something to watch. If you don't use Windy TV, you should try it. Windy TV is showing basically the same thing, some decreased ceilings and visibility, probably due to some snow in the Hagerstown area. As far as other outlets, I'm just going to use Weather Underground, which I like because they use hourly forecasts. And for that Friday, they're showing some snow, definitely in the afternoon. So at this point, my concerns are decreased ceilings and visibility, and most importantly, ice. The first real go, no-go decision comes for me the night before, and looking at the Teterboro and Caldwell TAF, there's definitely no issues. Hagerstown, on the other hand, is forecasting marginal conditions around my arrival time. Okay, now for the big briefing the morning of. I'm going to start with ForeFlight. Looking at the ForeFlight briefing, there are definitely going to be airmets for ice, IFR, and mountain obscuration, with most of the ice below 16,000 feet. The surface analysis shows a high to the east and a trough to the south, and the METARs at the moment are all good. The PIREPs, nothing to report really. As far as TOPS forecasts, we're looking at anywhere between flight level 180 and 190. As far as the TAFs are concerned, nothing too bad en route. It's not until you get down to Harrisburg where it drops to 1501 in light snow in the later afternoon, and 2502 again in light snow in the late afternoon in Martinsburg. The winds aloft at 18,000 show westerlies at about 50 knots, and there are no major NOTAMs. Looking at the ADDS forecast the day of, the freeze level is supposed to be between the surface and 3,000 feet. As far as icing, they're calling for heavy icing southeast of Hagerstown between 15,000 and 17,000 feet, but importantly, no SLD. As far as the potential of this, may be greater than 50%. The turbulence forecast shows light turbulence, and there are no major PIREPs. And as far as TAFs, VFR to the northeast, marginal to the south. So here's a little bit about the Piper Meridian, the airplane I'm using for these missions. The Meridian is a cabin-class, pressurized, single-engine turboprop which is certified for flight into known ice. It cruises at 275 knots at 28,000 feet, and it has a 4-hour endurance behind a Pratt & Whitney PT6 engine. It's capable of holding 6, but I really fly with no more than 4, and even then I still have to juggle fuel. The airplane's G1000 equipped and has the full complement of Sirius XM weather products, as well as, importantly, onboard weather radar. It has a heated prop and windshield and 2 heated pitos, as well as de-icing boots on the leading edges of the wings and both stabilizers. To me, the Meridian is the ultimate in the single-pilot, owner-operated line. Flying behind a turbine with this level of capability has been an eye-opening and very liberating experience. I find that I am truly able to rely on general aviation for routine travel, something which has been a lifelong aspiration for me. The question of whether or not an alternate is required is based on the 3-2-1 rule. And looking at the closest TAF to Hagerstown, which is in Martinsburg, it looks like it's definitely going to apply in this circumstance. So I'm going to select Dulles. Why? Because they've got great services and I can drive to Hagerstown and be there on time. Looking at their TAF, they're calling for 2002 during the time of my potential arrival. Looking at their alternate minimum requirements, which are 702, this is clearly within the realm of doable. So this is one of those flights that it's important to have a good plan B. As far as the ice is concerned, descending out of the mid-teens is probably the best first option, with staying to the north as a bailout as a last option. As far as the visibility and ceiling, defer to Dulles. And then to avoid all of it, we could just leave a little bit earlier. So I went ahead and filed a flight plan, and using the ForeFlight preferred route with a departure time of 1 in the afternoon and an expected altitude of flight level 180, even though I know it'll be lower, I'm looking at about an hour and 10 minutes. So with one last check before I left, there were no surprising METARs or no new PIREPs. And then I went ahead and got a clearance, and while it was pretty much what I expected, I didn't get flight level 180, which is what I filed for, and instead got 16,000 feet, which was only significant in that I knew that the tops were going to be in that range, so it just increased the potential for icing later on, but I figured we could always descend if I needed to. The start was pretty much routine. The battery was a little bit cold and on the weaker side, so it meant the start was warm but not terrible. What was really unusual was that I wasn't held for a release, especially on a Friday afternoon. Typically, anything under the New York City Class Bravo on a Friday waits 15 to 20 minutes. So as soon as we reached the end of the runway, we were cleared for takeoff, and off we went. So just as we started to level out at 16,000 feet, we were skimming the tops and picking up just a trace amount of icing. So I checked the wings, checked the tail, and then added both prop and stall heat.
New York Center, Meridian 99 Delta Alpha, 16,000.
Meridian 99 Delta Alpha, New York Center, altimeter view is going to be 3036.
369 Delta Alpha.
Checking NEXRAD en route, I could see at my destination that bands of snow were moving into the area, as forecast, as was the drop in visibility with the maintenance of good ceilings along the route. So everything so far was going according to forecast. But what I was really worried about was icing, especially during the descent. And you can see here, it really was a non-issue. Maybe some trace icing, much better than forecast. So I was advised to, and I set up for the ILS 27. And I was cleared for the approach.
Number 99 Delta Alpha, you're 7 miles from Hagues Cross, Hagues at 4,000, cleared for the ILS 27 Hagerstown Airport.
Okay, Hagues at 4,000, cleared for the approach, 9 Delta Alpha. Okay.
So here you can see we're just outside Hagues, about to intercept, and we've been cleared for the approach, so the autopilot's in approach mode. And here's the airplane just turning to intercept the localizer.
Okay, we're to tower, 9 Delta Alpha.
The next step for me would be to wait for glide slope intercept, at which point I'll drop the gear, drop 10 degrees of flaps, and go through my pre-landing checklist. Even though the temperature was just a bit above zero, I was still looking out for icing.
And Hagerstown Tower, Meridian 99 Delta Alpha is with you inside Hagues.
Meridian 929 Delta Alpha, Hagerstown Tower, Port Nolan, altimeter 3029.
Okay, we'll give you Nolan, 9 Delta Alpha.
I could see it was snowing, but there was no icing. So we intercepted the glide slope. I dropped the gear, keeping my hand on the gear handle to make sure I got 3 in the green, then add 10 of flaps and do my pre-landing flow check.
Flaps, 3 in the green. And 9 Delta Alpha is at Nolan.
Meridian 9 Delta Alpha, runway 27, clear to land. The airport's 2 miles with light snow.
Okay, clear to land at 9 Delta Alpha. Now we're just looking for the runway. At 2,000 feet to go.
I don't see anything yet.
Yep. We're still 4 miles.
Hagerstown 8241, November Rider, jet taxi, please.
November 8241, November, Hagerstown ground, runway 27, taxi via Charlie,
I
left
had
at
the
Alpha,
runway in
cross
sight.
runway 20. Wind 1808, altimeter is 3029, and the current ceiling is 3,900, broken 4,800, overcast visibility, 2 miles with light snow.
Oh, looks great.
Thank you, sir. We're clear to 27 across 20 for 8241 number.
This is lovely.
Airport 2, ground hold short of runway 27 at Charlie, landing traffic.
Okay, last notch of flaps. We have the runway made.
2 white, 2 red.
We still have 400 feet to go before we're at minimums.
Wow.
500.
The runway does not look contaminated with. Okay, I'm going to disconnect the autopilot. Just one more check. 3 in the green, full flaps. Give a little bit of a left crosswind.
minimums, minimums.
Okay.
So all in all, an easy day of IFR flying in the Meridian. The icing wasn't nearly as bad as forecast. I didn't have to exercise any of my plan Bs, like staying to the north or descending earlier than I wanted to. And the ceiling and the visibility behaved exactly as they predicted it would. So it was off to the Maryland State Theater, where we had plenty of time for sound check and actually got to check into our hotel ahead of time. So this is the first of what I hope will be bi-weekly episodes showing the decisions that go into using general aviation practically in a time-critical situation. Obviously, there will be times when I have to scrub the mission for weather or other reasons, and I'll try to include those as well, because there's obviously good learning there. For now, here's a glimpse into the next episode, which takes me to Cleveland, Ohio, and Latrobe, Pennsylvania, where I had to deal with wind, equipment issues, and low IFR. Until next time, welcome to Life in the Fast Lane.